And get my foot pedal right, and we'll share my screen. And all right. You have the one without the controls, correct? You do not see my controls? Right?
Okay.
All right,
Your
perfect.
controls.
All right. Okay, welcome to my class on safety check, account recovery, and things like that with the Apple. Let me see if this works there. There we go. Safety check, account recovery, and legacy contact. Before we begin, I do have, when I created this meeting, I didn't put a password in there. So by default, Zoom automatically created a waiting room. So you're going to hear that little ding every once in a while. I apologize for that. I just have to let people in. I didn't want to change it. As some of you know, I changed it for a meeting a while back, and then people couldn't get in at all. So I thought, well, I'm just going to leave it be. The newer meetings should have a password and not the waiting room, but I didn't want to change this one midterm. So I apologize for the little ding ding. And I know I could turn it off for the host only or whatever, but you're just picking it up through this microphone. So, all right. So let's get started with our safety check, account recovery, and legacy contact. Basically, what we're going to be looking at here are three different things with where's my Zoom? Oh, up there. Okay, got it. All right. We're going to be looking at three different things with in this class. We're going to be looking at safety check, we're going to be looking at account recovery, and legacy contact. Those are basically three completely different, not completely, but they are three completely different things. And I recommend everyone to kind of go through these, especially the legacy contact and the account recovery, and then on a regular basis, do the safety check. So let's start taking a look at these. Well, the first thing we're going to look at is the account recovery. So what is account recovery? Well, basically what account recovery does is, there we go. Account recovery allows you to set up a contact, a trusted friend or family member that can help you regain access if you forget your Apple ID. This is all around your Apple ID, this particular setup here. So if you forget your Apple ID, it can be a real pain in the butt to try to get that back if you don't know your password. And when you set up a recovery contact, it makes it a little bit easier in that your friend, your family member can help you get that recovered without going through. You still have to go through Apple, but it's a lot easier. Really easy to set up. Hopefully you will never use it. It's an insurance policy. That's what I call it. One of those things that you don't want to use, but when you do need it, it becomes extremely valuable. It makes things a lot simpler. There is one catch to this all. It can take several days to recover an account because Apple does take their time, and their little thing that I read about it, it said that they apologize, but it's just the way their way of making sure that everything's all good to go. So I'm basically going to kind of show you the steps of how you set this up. I'm not going to be able to run, how it all works and do an actual account recovery unless you wanted to sit here for a few days and just wait with me. I'm not going to go through that. So, but I can show you the steps of how it all works. So let's take a look at account recovery. We're just going to go over to my iPad. Now this account recovery, again, is for your Apple ID. So you can do this on your Mac, your iPad, and your iPhone. The iPad and iPhone, I believe you need to have iPad OS or iOS 15. I would recommend updating to iPad OS 16 if you can. And Ventura, you just go to the system settings, just like what I'm going to show you on the iPad, and just kind of follow these steps. So what we need to do to set up an account recovery contact is go over to our settings app, And then what we do is we click on our name here. This is where we can get all of our iCloud settings. If you have an older version of macOS, what you may see in system preferences, as an example, would be iCloud settings. That's all done, even on the Mac now, through this little name here. You click on your name, and then you're going to see all of your different information here. The one that we're going to be looking at here is password and security. When you go to your password and security, there is going to be an option for account recovery. Now, you do need to have two-factor authentication working for this. So you want to make sure that that is turned on. I would recommend that anyway. With two-factor authentication, basically what it's going to do is send a text to your phone number and then make sure that you are the one that is going in there. I saw my phone number there, so I'll have to blur that out. Anyway, so what I did earlier was I set up, just to kind of test this out, I thought maybe I'd be able to run through this, like I said, and just kind of show you exactly how it works. But then after reading Apple's information, they're like, it takes several days. So I set up Abigail here. I have a demo account for Johnny Appleseed and Abigail Appleseed. And basically what I did, this is Johnny's iPad, and I had Johnny set up a legacy contact, account recovery with Abigail Appleseed. So the other thing you can do is you can set up a recovery key. So those are basically two different things that you can do. The first thing we're going to look at is recovery key. Recovery key is really simple. Basically all you do is just click on this, and if I were to turn this on, oops, I don't know what it did there, but apparently I have a transition there. So recovery key, what it'll do is it'll print out, you'll be able to print out a giant recovery key, and then you can put that in your records. You put that in your fireproof safe. You put that in somewhere in your documentation. Then, if you forget your Apple ID, again, this is all about if you forget your Apple ID. If you forget your Apple ID, what you can do when you go and try to recover, you say you forgot your Apple ID, Apple will go and ask, do you have a recovery key or a contact that we can use to help verify that it's you? And what you would do is you would get your recovery key out, put it in there, and then basically Apple would be able to help you recover your account. Takes several days again. But basically what they're doing is they're verifying it is you. This is a very long key. It's not something anybody would be able to guess, anything like that. So that's the account recovery. The account recovery, if you use account recovery, you cannot use the recovery assistance. So it all depends on what you want to do. If you just want to don't want to give anybody assistance to help you figure this thing out, you could just print out a recovery key, keep it in your documents, and then if something goes wrong, you forgot your Apple ID, just use that recovery key. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can add a recovery contact. And you can only do one of these from what I've read. It's one or the other. The add a recovery contact, like this would be great to mom, and this is what I really should set this up for my mom. So if she has a problem, she can't get into her Apple ID, not to pick on her, but passwords are not her strong point. And if she forgets her Apple ID or something like that, what I would be able to do is help her out. And the way that you would set this up, let's say I wanted to add somebody as a recovery contact. Essentially what I do is I just tap on Add Recovery Contact. As you can see, you can have more than one recovery contact. I go and Add Recovery Contact. When I do this, you want to make sure it's someone you trust. This person will be able to ask for help with phone. I think what they do is they talk with Apple, and then you'll be able to get into your account. So you just go Add Recovery Contact. Recognize my face. And if I wanted to add Beth to this, or my mom, all I have to do is just select this, click on Next, and it would add her automatically. Now, it would add her automatically because this is all part of a family account. If they weren't part of a family account, if it's somebody else that I know, what they would have to do is they would have to accept it. No, not a big deal. But any one of these, because it is a family account, it would automatically be accepted. Also, you do not need to, no, you do need to have an Apple device. Sorry, the next one is you do not need to have an Apple device. So with the recovery contact, basically what will happen here is that person will be able to help you recover. So how does that work? How does the recovery side of it work? So as you know, or as you saw, I have Abigail here who has been approved, and she can help me recover my contact and this, that, or recover my stuff. So I'm going to go over to Abigail's computer here. So this is Abigail's computer. And when I go to System Settings, it's using macOS Ventura. Go to System Settings. We go to our name, just like before. We go over to our password and security. And what you're going to see when I go to Account Recovery here, if I go over and manage it, you're going to see that there's an account recovery for Johnny Appleseed. This is his email address. So basically, this, Abigail can see that she is set up to help Johnny recover his account. Now, Abigail doesn't have anyone set up yet. So how does Abigail set one up? Well, I'm on the Mac here. All she has to do is click on the plus here and add a recovery contact. And then whoever she adds, once they accept it, they'll be able to help out that person as well. I can click on details here, and basically what will happen is I will get a recovery code, and then that would verify to Apple that this person is trusted, and then basically I'd be able to help her get that code. And unfortunately, I don't know the exact details of how it works, but Apple says it's really easy. So the big key to making this work is just go and add somebody to recovery contact. And then from there, if something were to go wrong, you forgot your password or the other person forgot their password, at least what you'd be able to do through Apple is try to help them recover their Apple ID account, their iCloud account, their .Mac account, their .me account, anything like that. So that is, basically how account recovery works. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to kind of show you, actually run through it, which is what I usually like to do. But you kind of get the idea. All you have to do is just go into your settings and go and add an account recovery contact, and then from there it's just kind of self-explanatory according to Apple. Does anyone have any questions on the legacy contact? I recommend everybody do this. I have not done it yet, but I'm going to. So, all right.
Barry has
I see.
There's a question, Dan.
Yep. From
chat.
Barry. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you change the Apple ID password after you set one of these up? I don't know. I'm going to say yes, because it's not, and I can't guarantee this, Barry, but I'm going to say yes, because to me this should be untied from the password. This has really nothing to do with the password. You forgot the password. It doesn't really matter. So I don't think it adds any restrictions to your Apple ID. All it does is just make it a little bit easier if something were to go wrong. You forgot your Apple ID, basically. So. All right, let's go to the next one. And this one is kind of related, a little bit on the darker side. This one is, hit the wrong button there. This one is legacy contact. What is a legacy contact? A legacy contact is basically, along the same line of this, except it has to do with your death. So I'd say it's a little darker. But essentially what this will help do is, a legacy contact is someone you choose to have access to your data in your Apple account after your death. So again, something I would highly recommend. Now, there are limitations to this, more limitations than when you recovering the Apple ID. Well, basically recovering the Apple ID or just helping someone recover an Apple ID. With this, what you're trying to do is, basically you want to get into their data in case there's something in there. So what are the restrictions? Well, or non-restrictions. With this, they do not need to have an Apple device. So you could really, anybody you could set up as a legacy contact. You will need a death certificate. Again, this is not overnight. So in addition to this legacy contact, you'll have to provide Apple with a death certificate, and then with the legacy contact and the death certificate, they'll be able to help you unlock it and get at the data. If you don't have this legacy contact, it's a lot harder. I don't know if Chris is here, but she dealt with a lot of this stuff, and it's tough to get some of that information. You have to go to courts and all that kind of stuff. Well, with this, all you have to do is provide a death certificate, make sure Apple knows who you are, and then you'll be able to get at that person's data. So what data can you get at? Not everything. You are going to be able to get at their files and calendar appointments and things like that, but you will not be able to get at their movies, music, books, anything that they've purchased. You're also not going to be able to get at their subscription or payment information. I believe you'll be able to stop the subscriptions, at least I hope so, but it did say you will subscription and payment information, and you will not be able to access their passwords. I was surprised at that. I thought it would be good for them to be able to, get at your password so they could log into some of your accounts if they need to cancel something. But with this, they will not be able to do that. But they will be able to get at all of the other data that is included in there, your contacts and things like that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just not as robust as what I thought it would be, but it's still a good thing to do, at least to get your foot in the door. So how do we set up a legacy contact? Well, basically what we need to do is, and we're going to go to my MacBook Air here. Abigail. Let's say she wanted to set up a legacy contact. Do I have that on Johnny? Okay, no. So again, using macOS Ventura, but if you're on the iPad or the iPhone, you can do this from any of those devices. Basically, what you need to do is go to your settings again, and then you go to password and security, and you go to legacy contact. Under legacy contact, what you're going to be able to do is add your legacy contact. So basically, again, you want to choose someone that you trust. This person is going to be able to access your data, not all of your data, but they will be able to access your data after your death. You do this by creating an access key. You can print, excuse me, you can print a copy of this access key and then send it to their device, the person that is your legacy contact. And then you can also print that legacy key out and put it into your fireproof safe or where your will is, things like that. So if something unfortunate were to happen, somebody opens up those documents, they're going to see the legacy key there, and then they'll be able to get at most of your data. So that's basically what you're doing. So I'm going to click on Add Legacy Contact. And, of course, I need my password there. There we go. And we're going to go with, we'll give Johnny Appleseed the legacy contact information. Since this is Abigail's computer, Johnny should have it, right? So I go Continue. And basically, as your legacy contact, John will be able to access the data stored in your account after your death. This includes photos, messages, notes, files, contacts, calendar events, apps you've downloaded, device backups, and more. He will not be able to access your iCloud keychain, which is where your credit card information and all that. So basically, it's your iCloud keychain. So now, I click on Continue here. It's setting it up. And all I have to do now is just print this access key, or what I can do is I can send it via messages. I'm just going to print this so you can kind of see, and there it is. It's a QR code. That is the legacy contact access key. So this would print. You put it into a safe place, and then make sure that someone knows where it is after your death, unless you can come back as a ghost and let them know somehow. But basically, they're going to have to be able to find this, and then from there, what they're going to be able to do is present this to Apple with a death certificate, and they're going to be able to get at everything. So that is, basically how it all works. So cancel. Let's send it as an access key. We're going to send it over to Johnny instead of print it. So here is what it says. John, I've added you as my legacy contact. You can edit this message if you want. I'm just going to leave it as is. And there it is. The legacy contact has been added. So I'm just going to click done. And there's my legacy contact. That's the email address. Let's go over to my iPad, and we'll take a look at this. Now we're on Johnny's iPad. He's the legacy for the contact for this person, for Abigail. So I go to my iCloud settings. We go over to our password and security. And when I go to legacy contact, you can see that he is the legacy contact for Abigail Appleseed. And when he clicks on this, he's able to view that access key. He can request access to it from Apple, and then he'll have to provide a death certificate. Or you can also just have that person remove themselves if they no longer want to be the legacy contact. They can remove themselves. You can also, now let's say Abigail and John, they have a falling out, and she no longer wants to have him be the legacy contact. She can go back into her computer under legacy contact here and remove that contact. So the person can remove it, who is the legacy contact, and the person who created the legacy contact can remove it. It all comes down to that key. When I view this access key, there it is. Copy that access key, and basically what they would be able to do is recover the account. So what I'm going to do is make sure that, remove this contact, and remove that legacy key. So then it's not out there. It's a demo account anyway, but now it's not there. So that's how legacy contacts work. You can see it works pretty simple. You just have to go and add somebody to it. You can print off a copy of the thing as well as send a copy of the thing. You can print off a copy of the key that you need, and you can also send it to someone so they can access it. And then in the unfortunate time of your death, they will be able to get at most of your data. Basically, the keychain data is what they're not going to be able to get at. Does anyone have any questions on contact legacy?
I have a comment, Dan.
Yes, go for it.
Goes right along with what you're talking about, is the fact that one of the reasons I did upgrade to an M1 Mac and Ventura was because I had found or had read that you can copy, which is one of the things that have been missing in this whole dynamic that you're talking about. You can copy into a CSV file, I think it's a CSV file, your keychain passwords.
Oh, yes, yes.
Store them with your other safety deposit box things.
Great point. I will show people how to do that. Great point. Absolutely. So what she's, I mentioned that you can't get your passwords. Now we're talking about iCloud keychain here. If you have one password, I believe you can export those. We're not going to talk about that. I'm just talking about Apple's iCloud here. So I store all my passwords with Apple's iCloud keychain. So what you are able to do when you go to the passwords in the system settings here, I think this was a Ventura setup. But anyway, password options, autofill. Maybe I don't because this is a different account. All right, let me look on my iPad. I'll switch over to that to see. And edit. Nope, cancel. A lot of passwords.
I believe it's called you export.
Yeah, and I can't. Well, let me just log into my other. Give me 1 second, because that's a great point. So I'm going to log into Johnny here, and we're going to see how we do that. So give me a quick second here. It's going to boot up, and we should see. Go back here and here, and it's there. Hold on a second. I've noticed that when you go to displays, I have it mirror my display. Ventura doesn't remember that. So what I have to do is go in here and tell it to mirror. And there it is. All right. So what Deborah's talking about is, if I go to my system settings here and we go to passwords, and I unlock it, what I am able to do is export all of the passwords. Let me get my Cursor Pro working here. So when I go here, you're going to see export all the passwords. So basically what you can do, exactly what she's talking about, it exports it out as a CSV file, and then what you can do is print that out and put that in there along with that access key, and they're going to have access to all of your accounts, at least since you've printed them. They're going to have access to the majority of your accounts, and all of your files are the majority of your files. So yes, that's a great tip. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. This one's going to take a little bit longer. This is why I saved it for last, because I can actually step through this next one, and I think this is really good. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is safety check. So Apple created safety check for people that were in unfortunate situations, and what they need to do is quickly, when you share, a good example would be, at Find Friends, I have probably about 15 people in Find Friends, my family and friends, and sometimes we forget about that stuff gets buried, and what you're able to do is quickly see who is following you, what information you're sharing with them, and then you can remove that. So it's really created for people that are in unfortunate situations and they just need to reset. But also what I think is good for is just a good privacy check yourself. For those of us that are fortunate enough to not be in a situation like that, it's still a good thing to do, once every 6 months. It's not something you have to do a lot, but once every 6 months, just make sure that you are not sharing information with someone that you're no longer in contact with. So that's basically what Safety Check is. So with Safety Check, we can quickly stop sharing our information, or we can review it and update sharing with individual people and apps. This is only accessible on the iPhone. So if you have an iPad or you have a Mac, you will not be able to do this. This is an iPhone exclusive feature. So I'm going to show you how this works on the iPhone. Also, you must be running iOS 16 or later. So if you're using an older version of iOS, you won't be able to do this. Another good reason to update to iOS 16. All right, so let's see how this works. We're going to go over to my iPhone here. There we go. Make sure nothing gets unplugged. My wife came in my office earlier today, and she's like, maybe tomorrow you should spend some time cleaning it. Yikes. So basically, what we need to do is go into our settings app. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if my mouse is working perfect. I'm going to go into my settings app here. And then instead of going to our iCloud, this is where I initially thought it was, because this is something that you don't access on a regular basis, right? Where this is located is actually in your privacy and security. I guess it kind of makes sense. Why wouldn't it be there? So you go to privacy and security, because it's not all about iCloud. It's just, about your iPhone and sharing your information. And then when you swipe up, what you're going to see here is safety check. And this is what you kind of want to run through every few months, every 6 months, at least once a year. Facebook also has something similar to this, although it's probably not as robust. But basically, you just kind of want to review what your information you're sharing. So let's kind of step through this and see how this whole thing works, because there's a lot of options in here and different things that you can do. So I'm going to tap on Safety Check here. And this goes into a number of steps. The first thing that we can do is we can do an emergency reset. This will reset access for all of the people in all of the apps. It will also allow you to review your account security. So when I tap on this, I could start my emergency reset. And this is just a complete, just gets it done. I don't step through it. Emergency kind of thing. It's going to affect your people and apps. It's going to stop sharing with all people and revoke access from all apps. So, as an example, I share a grocery list with my wife in the Reminders app. It's going to stop that. Account security. It's going to change your Apple ID password. And it's going to add and remove emergency contacts. So this is like a hard reset. So you are in that emergency situation, that's where you go. Throughout all of this, when you go up to the top, you're going to see quick exit. And what this is for is, again, for people that are in the unfortunate situation, they need to do this. And let's say the person that they're trying to get away from, for lack of better words, walks up behind them or comes up to them. All they have to do is just tap on quick exit, and the person would not be able to see what they're doing. So that's what the quick exit does. It gives them, quick exit to get out of there. So now I have to go back over to my privacy and settings, and you're going to see that quick exit throughout this whole thing. I can step through this, and it's always going to be there. All right. So the emergency reset is probably not something that you would do, but the manage sharing and access down here, that is something that you can kind of step through. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to tap on it. And this allows me to review people. This is who I can manage who I'm sharing information with. Apps, which apps are sharing information, and then my account security. So those are the 3 steps. So when I tap on continue here, you're going to see that what I'm able to do is select people to review what is shared. So I'm looking at people here. This is a little slider. So with Abigail, what I'm able to do is see that I am sharing my photos with Abigail. This is Johnny's phone. Johnny is sharing photos with Abigail. Johnny is also sharing photos with Beth. So basically, when I tap on Review Sharing, we can see that Abigail has access to 2 of my shared albums and my shared library, and 1 shared library. So if I wanted to stop that, all I have to do is just select it, and you're going to see Stop Sharing. And it would stop access for Abigail on those items there. Now, if I was sharing reminders, I'd see reminders in here, and I'd be able to select, reminders as well. So when I go back up to the top here, I also have information. When I tap on information here, you're going to see that my photos are being shared, and it's being shared with 3 people. So I can tap on this and then see those 3 people, and I can stop sharing my photos with any of them or all of them. So the first step here is what information are you sharing, and you can see it by people or you can see it by app.
So quick question, if
Yeah.
you're doing a quick exit and you've selected that you're going to stop
It would
sharing
save
with
it.
3 people, does
You
it
do-
negate that or does it keep
Nope,
that?
it saves it.
Okay.
So it would, yeah. So if I were to stop sharing with someone here and quick exit, there's no confirmation or anything like that. They made it down and dirty, like, okay, you're stopping information, kind of thing.
Thanks.
So what I'm going to do is go to the next step here. I'm just going to skip this. So that's your information. This could be calendars, it could be photos, it could be reminders, anything like that. So I'm going to skip. The next thing is what am I sharing publicly? So that is what I was sharing with individual people, either apps or people. But also you can see that I am sharing photos. I have a public 5 shared albums that are public. Maybe I don't want them to be public anymore. Tap on this and I stop sharing. Unfortunately, I can't select which albums I want to stop sharing. So if I wanted to see those, what I could do is go into my Photos app and take a look at my shared library and see which ones are shared publicly. But basically, all this does is this is all or nothing. But it does give you, if you kind of playing around with it, that's what I do. I kind of play around with this. I really don't share. I don't have a public album. So I'd be able to just stop this and, create one down the road again if I wanted to or I needed to. So I am going to go back and we are going to skip this. So that's the photos. There we are, skip. And skip. Oh, yep, the 5 shared albums. Yeah, that's one that did it. All right, so that's step 1. So that's our people and information. Step 1 is now complete. Now, so that was with people and apps that are sharing information. The next step is we can review which apps have access to my information. So it's a reverse. So this could be, I use Fantastical as an example on my personal account. Fantastical has access to my calendar. So that's where we're going to see, this could be apps that have access to your calendars, apps that have access to your contacts, things like that. So I'm going to tap on Continue here. And we can see that Sonos has access to my local network. This is my music system. Halid, that's a camera that I use, has access to my camera and my photos. On the way is a neat little weather app that if you're traveling long distances, what it does is it plots out the weather in the different cities where you're going, kind of thing. Well, in order for that to work, it needs access to my location. So you can see all these different apps here. Now, if I wanted to take a look at any one of them, all I have to do is just tap on the eye here. Let's go to Halid. We can see that Halid has access to my location, my camera, and my photos. What I'm able to do is say, well, I like to use it for my camera. I like that it puts, location, because then it puts the GPS data in the photo, but I don't want it to have access to my photos anymore for some odd reason. Tap on it, and I can stop app access. So that app will no longer have access to my photos. Go back. I can also just select it. So if I go to Sonos here, it will no longer have access to my Bluetooth and local network. So that's on an app basis. You're going to see up at the top here we have apps. Remember how we had people and information? Same kind of thing. So here I'm looking at it from an app point of view. Well, if I go over to information, I'm going to look at it from an information. Which apps have access to my photos? That's what we're going to be able to see here. You're going to see I have photos. And right now, Halid, Zoom, and one other app. Let's go and tap on the eye. Spark. Those are the 3 apps that have access to my photos. If I swipe up here, you can see that Zoom has access to my calendar. I no longer want to allow Zoom to have access to it. Tap on it, and I can select that. If I no longer want to have any apps have access to my photos, I can go to Photos here and stop access. Now, if I select that, no app will have access to my photos. So we can look at it from the app side of it down to the information side of it, however you want to look at it. I'm going to go back, and what we're going to do is continue and skip. I have to go back to get to the skip. I don't know if you saw that when I tap on this and I go back. Let's go back, or tap on this, stop app access. I don't want to stop app access. What I need to do is go back, and then I continue, and now I can skip it. So that's why I have to go back every once in a while. So I'm going to skip it. Step 2 is now complete. Now what we're going to do is review my account security. So this is your passwords and things like that. So I tap on continue. And we can see what devices are currently signed in with my Apple ID. So you can see I have a lot of different devices here. And if I wanted to remove any one of them, all I have to do is just select it. So here I have, I use Parallels. I haven't used it in a while, but where's my mouse? There we are. If I go to, these are Parallels here, and if I wanted to revoke access to that, all I have to do is just tap on it and remove the selected devices. And now Parallels no longer has access to, or at least that version of Parallels no longer has access to my iCloud account, or my Apple ID. So if you want to kind of go through and clean house, you might find some, I know I don't have a lot of these anymore. Actually, I have a lot of Parallels in here. You're going to see I must be playing around with Parallels. So what I could do is just select these, and you can select more than one, and just go and remove them, and it'll remove those devices. Turn that off. And what we're going to do is skip it. And you're going to see that we still have quick exit up there. That thing hovers around. And now we're going to go to skip at the bottom. And then we have trusted phone numbers. So if you want to change who your trusted phone number is, this is where you can go and change that. And you can go and access this in other areas. But again, when we're in life-changing situations, this is a nice way to just kind of get everything across. I can't tell you off the top of my head where I go and change my trusted phone number. Probably an Apple ID. I would have to go to appleid.apple.com. But this is just a nice way when we're in those life-changing situations where I can just kind of go through here and just make sure everything's all good. So I can remove one, and then I can add a new trusted number in there. Tap on continue. And then from here, I'm also able to update my Apple ID. So I would just update the password, and that Apple ID will have a new password. So once I'm all done, I'm just going to update later. I'm not going to update the password. I can set who my emergency SOS is. So Beth will be my emergency SOS. I can add another person in here. As you can see, this is why it's a good thing to review this every once in a while. And then I tap on continue, and I can update the device code password. So I have a 4-digit code on here. What I'm able to do is update it to a new code. It's updating it. Hopefully I typed in the same number. And then you're going to have a new device code on that iPhone as well. I'll go quick exit. And that is basically how the safety check. As you can see, it's pretty simple to run through, but I think it's extremely valuable in just kind of making sure that you're not sharing information with people you no longer want to share information with. Also makes it pretty easy to go and change different things, such as your passcode or your Apple ID, your trusted phone numbers, your SOS, emergency contact, things like that. And that is all done through the Settings app in your privacy and security, and you can only do this on an iPhone, and it does need to be running iOS 16. Any questions on safety check?
Dan, all of your controls are showing again on the screen.
All right. Crap. I shared the wrong screen. All right.
It's gone.
Yep. That's all right. Oh, I think, yeah, that's all right. I shared the wrong screen, but that's okay. Any other questions on that? No? All right, we can just open it up to general Q&A. I have about 15 minutes. I didn't think this would take that long. So I have about 15, 20 minutes if anyone has any questions on anything. So ask away. The screen was all clear for everyone outside of my controls?
Fine. Look good.
Perfect.
It kind of looked a little fuzzy on my end.
Well, as long as it's majority people, it's good. Then I know it's working on my end. But
Dan?
yeah,
Different question, not
Go for it.
not for security issue.
yeah.
If you're doing the update, like everybody hopefully has been doing the 16.3.1, that have you ever come across anyone who is having trouble getting the update to come through unless they turn off their auto lock? Or
No, I have
I
not.
haven't either, but somebody came up with that today.
No, I've not. I haven't heard anything on these any problems with these updates, especially the last few updates. I do have a lesson. It might be a couple years old now, maybe about a year old. Sometimes what you'll have to do is delete the update. So when you go into your settings and go to General and go to Software Update, you can delete the update. Maybe it came down corrupt, but generally speaking, no, I haven't heard of anything like that. And believe me, I would hear it from my friends and family. They would let me know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Steve's kind of quiet.
I'm just soaking in all the good information.
Oh, all right, all right. Next week, I will be having one of my standard AMAs. So that will be there about, that's going to be at 5 o'clock. So it's just my standard AMA. And then what do I have after that? Let's see here. I don't remember what I have. Do I have anything scheduled for after this class? I'm scheduling these out about, oh, yes, here we go. Collaborating.
In Apple apps.
Yep. So Apple has really kind of gone with both feet in with collaboration kind of thing, which is really kind of nice. And you can share notes and reminders. We've been able to do that for a while, but as we saw, Steve helped me out with Freeform and a bunch of other. Basically, they're going, like I say, they're going all in. So we're going to be taking a look at how all that works. For the most part, it works the same on all of the setups, but sometimes it's a little bit different. So.
Your screen is frozen.
Screen froze, yes.
Screen's frozen.
Oh, yep. There we go.
Yep.
I used
Question.
spaces and I switched spaces and boom, it froze it. Yes.
So like you were saying, I had to get out of the meeting and come back in, even though this whole day I've been using my Mac and my Zoom and all of that, because it didn't recognize my display, and display didn't show my picture for live, for the photo for me on my green screen. So I had to get out, close down, restart. Is that what kind of you were talking about, or is there a quicker
No,
way to
with me, with my software, and someday I do really. People ask a lot of questions. I do need to do an overview now that I'm comfortable with it all. No, it's just I have my screen set up here. If I go to my overview, where is it? There, this one. If I go, so you can kind of see what's going on right here. And when I swipe over, it's probably frozen to you now. But you can't see it, but it says screen is paused. So basically I'm just switching spaces, and when I do that, what it's doing is it's just pausing. So that's completely on my end. I use Spaces quite a bit on my Mac, and I just accidentally switched Space and it froze everything up. Zoom had a little yellow bar saying your screen is paused. It wasn't anything, any technical error. It was operator error.
Dan,
Yeah.
question about legacy contact. I set it up with my wife and I had it printed first because you had two options. You could either send it to her or you could print it. Well, I printed it first thinking then I'll go back and send it to her. That option never came back. It just rotated out and I could never go back to send it to her. So it seems to be it's an either or, either print it
It
or
is?
send it
Okay.
to your legacy.
Let's see, I have it set up for Johnny here. So let's go and see. And we need to go to password and security. And legacy contact. There we go. View access key. If I enter in the password, I would be able to view the access key. So I wonder. That is, okay, so I'm the legacy contact. I have to think of, I'm the legacy contact for Abigail. So this would be, your wife would be able to view the access key. But what you want to do is print it out. So let's go over to my Mac. I had to switch gears. And when we go to my Mac.
Yeah. Now, Dan, I already printed it out. I just wanted to be able to send it to her, which was
Right.
the other. Yeah.
I mean, you could just add another legacy contact, I
Or
guess.
delete that one and just redo it.
Yeah. Or delete that one and just redo it. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's, this might be my shortest one yet.
I got a quick question, Dan.
Yeah, go for it.
It's on the time machine. I looked at your tutorial that you did a while back, and I have to replace my old Mac, and I have actually two disks of data from Time Machine. Now, when I put the Time Machine up to the new computer and start it up, should I start with the original disk or should I go with the most recent disk? One was filled and then I put another one
I would
on.
go with the most recent because that's going to have your most recent data on there.
Okay, so it doesn't matter about things that were a long time ago.
It'll still be on, it's going to be on your most recent stuff from a long time ago. It still should be there. But if not, you have your backup where you could get at it. So,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Well, let's call that a wrap, and then I can go and I don't like the snow out there. So,
Always good to see another Chiefs fan here. And Larry Garvin's on from Columbia, Missouri. New viewer.
we were happy that the Chiefs won. I'm going to stop recording here. Let's see here. Where is it?
$1 million.